NESC for some time have been calling for fundamental policy changes on urban development and housing provision, and these are sentiments that are often endorsed by yourself and other ministers. But for the people who are homeless, for the renters and the first-time buyers, this feels like Groundhog Day. There is a report in the Irish Times yesterday that says that the government, on the question of issuing a stamp duty proposal on the cuckoos and the vultures, said it is hard to put a time frame on action. And I want to ask you why the paralysis and why the lethargy in moving on this, because I believe that you're very worried about spooking the cuckoo. You don't want to spook the international investors or the vulture funds, so we must move carefully and slowly. But the last thing we need to do is to move carefully and slowly. We do need to spook them and to frighten them and to make sure that they know that the game is up and that they can no longer suck the life and blood out of people in this country who are on waiting lists, young people who are trying to buy their own homes, people who can't afford to rent. Your slowness on the cuckoo funds and introducing measures to stop the wholesale purchase of estates and apartments is symptomatic of the paralysis of this government now and for the last decade in dealing with the housing crisis. So I'm going to ask you, will you do as NESC say and actually begin to bring about fundamental change in a system of urban development, and I'm quoting them, in land management and in housing provision, and start by using your authority to stop the immediate purchase by corporation and corporate investors in homes, and stop the utilisation of public land by privatised developers. We need sustainable development, not the sort of development that we're seeing all over constituencies like mine that are breaking out under the guise of strategic housing developments. We cannot sustain it. Communities cannot sustain thousands and thousands and thousands of apartments without schools, without infrastructure, without planning. They should come first, and not the apartments. Otherwise, you're going to break the communities around this city.
The ministers will deal with the issue that has, in terms of the investment funds. In terms of homelessness, Deputy, we want to get homelessness down to very low levels, but there has been a reduction of 36% in family homelessness and families emerging from the emergency centres, and there's been a 19% reduction overall. And the Minister has been active in relation to the homeless question, and he's engaging on a constant basis with the NGOs. And personally, I mean, as not just personally, but as leader of a government, we want to do everything we possibly can to reduce homelessness. I do think it reflects on us as a society. It has grown dramatically over time, but we do need to deal with it. And I think there's been welcome reductions over the last 12 months, but there are still challenges ahead in relation to that. We're not worried about funds. I have no interest in defending funds, none whatsoever. My only interest is in getting houses built so that people can get access to housing. That's my only issue. And I will lose a whole range. I'm not interested in sort of protecting anybody. I've had no engagement with any fund or talk to anybody. That's not my agenda or the government's agenda. Our only agenda is to increase the supply of houses that we're currently making available to people. And that's the bottom line.